Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Healing Growth. I'm your host, as always. And with me, I have the amazing Mika, our relationship expert.
Hey, everyone.
We are diving deep today into a topic that I know a lot of you struggle with. It's something that is really, really tough. And that's when your ex moves on super quickly.
Yeah,
Like almost too fast. You're like, wait a second, what is going on?
definitely.
So we're going to unpack that today.
Yeah.
But before we even get into all the advice and all that kind of stuff, I want to first acknowledge that this is a very normal thing to feel and experience.
Yes, absolutely.
So many of us have been there
Yeah.
where it's just like, I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
And we're left feeling all these different emotions.
It is a real emotional roller coaster, to be honest.
Yeah.
You will probably be feeling hurt, maybe a bit confused, even jealous.
Yeah.
And it is important to understand that it's okay to feel these things.
Totally.
There's no need to judge yourself for having these completely human reactions.
Exactly. And, when we're going through a breakup, we're already feeling so many things. It's such a sensitive time. And then to have this added on top of it,
Yeah.
it just feels like an extra punch. So I think it's so important for us to acknowledge that. But I think what's also important is to figure out, okay, what can we do
Yeah.
to process this in a healthy way?
Absolutely.
Because I think our knee-jerk reaction is to maybe not deal with things in a way that actually serves us. So for you, when you're working with people, they're going through this, what are some things you suggest to your clients?
Well, the first thing I always recommend is to take a step back and just breathe.
Okay.
To actually give yourself the space to process all of those feelings, because we don't want to be reacting impulsively.
Yeah.
We want to be responding from a place of clarity.
Totally.
And to help with that, journaling can be a really fantastic tool.
Oh, journaling. I love that.
It is. It's like having a conversation with yourself
Yeah.
on paper, and it can help you understand your emotions, untangle all these complex thoughts.
Yeah.
And another really simple yet powerful thing is just taking those deep conscious breaths. It helps to regulate your nervous system and create some calmness in the middle of all of this chaos.
That's so important because when we're in that fight or flight mode, we're not really thinking clearly. Our decisions aren't necessarily going to be the ones that serve us best.
Yeah.
So I love those two pieces of advice. The journaling, something I do all the time anyway, but I think in times like this where it feels so overwhelming, it can be extra helpful.
Absolutely.
And then breath work.
Yeah.
I think that's something we often forget to do, but it's so simple and yet so effective.
It really is.
Now, we can't talk about this topic without addressing the big elephant in the room, and that's social media.
Of course.
Because let's be real, when your ex moves on quickly,
Yeah.
chances are you're going to see it splashed all over your feed.
Yeah.
So how do we navigate that minefield?
Oh, it can be so difficult.
Yeah.
Social media, honestly, it's designed to keep us engaged and comparing ourselves to others. And when you are already feeling vulnerable after a breakup, it's like throwing fuel on the fire.
Totally.
So my biggest piece of advice is to be really mindful of your social media consumption during this time.
Okay.
Maybe even consider taking a break from it altogether.
Yeah, like a little detox, because I know even for myself, sometimes I'm scrolling and I'm like, wait, I don't even feel good
Yes.
after doing this, so I put the phone down.
It's so important to protect your mental well-being.
Exactly.
And sometimes that means creating some distance from those triggers.
So if we're not going to take a full detox,
Yeah.
what are some things we can do to protect our peace while still being on social media?
Well, you can always mute or unfollow your ex.
Yeah.
You don't have to see what they're up to.
Yes.
And you don't need to subject yourself to that constant reminder.
Right, because what ends up happening is we're comparing
Exactly.
their highlight reel
Yes.
to our behind the scenes.
Yes.
And that's just not a fair comparison.
I'm never going to be a fair comparison.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes we forget that everyone heals at their own pace.
Exactly.
So what may look like them moving on super quickly
Yeah.
could actually be a sign of something else.
Exactly. It's often more about them than it is about you.
Okay, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Sometimes when people jump into new relationships very quickly, it's not necessarily a sign that they're over you or that they've found true love.
Okay.
It might actually be a way for them to avoid dealing with the pain of the breakup. It's like they're using this new relationship as a distraction from their own emotions.
So it's almost like a coping mechanism
Exactly.
and not necessarily a reflection of how they genuinely feel.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's really insightful.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes when we see that, we think, oh, they're so happy, and I'm still here feeling all these things.
Yes.
But like you're saying, that's not necessarily the truth.
It's just a facade.
Yeah.
It's a way to cover up those unresolved issues.
That makes a lot of sense. So if we're looking at this from a different perspective, And we're acknowledging our feelings, we're taking care of ourselves, we're maybe doing a social media detox, or being mindful of our consumption. What can we do to kind of shift the focus back onto us and really embrace the healing and growth that is possible after a breakup?
I love that question because it really is about turning inward and reclaiming your narrative. Think of this time as an incredible opportunity to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Rediscover who you are outside of that relationship. Maybe you pick up a hobby you've neglected, reconnect with friends you haven't seen in a while, or even explore new interests.
Okay, so like reigniting those passions,
Exactly.
finding things that light us up again.
Yes, and remember, it doesn't have to be anything drastic. It could be as simple as reading a book, taking a long bath, or spending time in nature.
Yeah, all those little things that make us feel good.
Absolutely.
And I also think this is a perfect time, if you're feeling a little lost, to seek out therapy.
Oh, therapy can be so beneficial, especially during times of transition. It provides you with that safe space to process your emotions, gain new coping skills, and really understand yourself on a deeper level.
Yeah, it's like having that objective person to help guide you
Exactly.
through all the messy stuff. Now, sometimes we can't completely avoid our ex.
Yeah.
Maybe you work together, you have kids together.
Right.
There's mutual friends, so you see each other out. In those situations, how important are boundaries?
Boundaries are crucial in any relationship, but especially when you're trying to heal and move on from an ex.
Okay.
Boundaries help you protect your energy and prioritize your well-being.
So it's not about, punishing the other person.
No, not at all.
Or being mean. It's just about protecting yourself.
Absolutely. It's about having clear and healthy limits.
Okay, and so what are some examples of boundaries we can set?
Well, it depends on your specific situation, of course, but some common examples might include limiting communication, only discussing necessary matters, or maybe deciding not to engage in small talk if you happen to run into them.
So it's like keeping things very surface level and transactional.
Exactly.
If we absolutely have to interact.
Yes.
Which I know can be so hard.
It can be really tough.
That's when you still have feelings for them.
Yeah.
But those boundaries, I think, are really what's going to help us to move on.
Absolutely.
So, Mika, this has been incredible, as always. Do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners out there who are going through this tough time?
I really encourage everyone listening to view this experience as an opportunity for growth. It might not feel like it right now, but heartbreak can be a powerful catalyst for self-discovery.
Okay.
Use this time to ask yourself some important questions. What have I learned from this relationship? What are my needs? What are my boundaries? And what kind of love do I truly deserve?
Such powerful questions. And I think the most important relationship we have is the one with ourselves.
I completely agree.
So if we can start there and really cultivate that self-love, then I think everything else will fall into place. If you guys are loving these deep dives into all these different topics, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. And we would love to hear from you guys down in the comments. Let us know what you thought of this deep dive. Have you gone through this experience? And what helped you? We love hearing from you guys. We will see all of you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.